Okay, so I thought I'd go ahead and make a video of this latest goof project I've been working on. Call it a goof because it's not terribly meaningful, but I thought it'd be great to do. So I've got this little Dremel that my dad had and been in the family for quite some time. As you can see, the box is rather tattered and beat up, and frankly the machine needs to be rebuilt anyway, but it's something that I have a little bit of sentimental value to. But the box is really getting torn up, all beaten in, and again the lid is just completely decimated. So I decided to go ahead and make a new box using the laser cutter at the Area 515 makerspace. So I want to go ahead and share with you that process of doing it. Now, again, this is somewhat sentimental, rather old, tattered, and frankly, I do kind of like the aesthetic of it. I don't want to take this and put it into a plastic tub. I want to keep the look and feel of this because, I mean, it's quite dated and pretty cool. So what I did is I just literally laid this down on a flat table and used my camera on my phone, which I'm using right now to make this video, to take still photographs of this. And I didn't take a whole lot of effort in making it perfect because I wanted it to have kind of a rough feel to it, and I was going to be able to tweak it after the fact using Gimp anyway. So first thing I did is I took pictures of this, and then I went ahead and loaded them up onto the computer. Let's go ahead and kill those here. So if I go over here to documents, oops, nope, I gotta go to the network. Member files, Nabil, and Dremel box. So right here I've got the original images that I photographed, and they're quite large. I didn't do any reduction or compression. And then from there I went to Gimp. So if I go to graphics here, and then Gimp, GNU image manipulation program here, and grab one of them here. So this is one of the shorter sides. So I just went ahead and grabbed the square selection tool, went to the larger edges, and I'm going to drag this corner out a little bit, and I'm neglecting that those overhang for the moment. So now I've got the selection box. Go up here to image, fit canvas to selection, and that effectively crops the entire photograph. Now I'm going to use this perspective tool. This is where we do the magic. Select the image there. You can ignore all of this transformation matrix garbage. You just drag it around. So, and you can grab anywhere on it. And I'm looking at these dashed lines that represent the edge of the image. And I'm just going to go ahead and drag these out roughly to fill out the square of the image. And now I transform. And again, I'm not getting too worried about making sure that this line and this blue line are both perfectly parallel. This is very strongly an aesthetic thing. So precision and accuracy aren't the key element. Next, since we're going to be laser engraving it, let's just desaturate it with luminosity. That way we can get a better perspective on it as we tweak this. And this, what I'm showing you right here, is the real key to making this look good when you laser engrave it. Because the laser doesn't keep levels the same. So what you have to do is, I'm going to use the curves coloring tool, and you can see here how much is fully bright, not a lot, and you know this graph here shows you where the intensity is at. But I'm going to kind of wash it out a little bit there, and then I'm going to lower the mid-range, and so I create a stronger contrast. And what that'll do is when it goes through the laser, I'll have less wasted contrast by, it won't darken this lighter area so much, but it will bring the dark areas a bit stronger. Whoops, don't want to quite do that. So roughly like that. And I went through and did this same process on all of the pictures and then saved it. So I'm just going to close this now. No, I'm not going to save it. Discard changes. So I did that, and they each came out essentially like that. So if I drop that on here, is that going to be, yep, so there we go. Long side, you know, you get the idea. I went through and popped a whole lot of contrast in there using those two tools. Discard. Alright, so that was key element number one. Next in the process was jumping back over here to the web browser. Maybe this will give us the history. Let's see if we can do that. Open a new pad. Not Jimmy John's. Previous sessions. Come on. And that's not what I wanted to do. So I used an online laser box editor. Maker case, there we go. Yep, this is it, maker case. So I went ahead and entered in, I think it was 10.5 inches roughly. Box height was 1.5, and then the cut depth, the depth was 5. And that roughly looks like the box we're working with. And these dimensions are on the outside. I'm using 1/8 inch birch, and I can select between flat joints, finger joints, and then also a T-slot. I'm not going to get crazy with T-slot. We're just going to go for finger for a bit better durability. And then literally just save that model, or actually, here it is, laser cut. And I didn't really mess with any of these settings. I just went ahead and downloaded that plan. And let's just open it with Image Viewer, that's fine. Or save it to desktop. Okay, so if I open this up, you can't really see it too well, but you can kind of see the jagged edges there. So I took that, and if I come back over here, this was the one I did previously. There we go. And Dremel.svg. I don't want to open that. I want to open it with Inkscape. Okay. So here I've got some things going on already done. I'm just going to drag this out of the way. And you can see what I did is I got something bug tickling my foot here. All right. I'm going to delete that. So now what I'm going to do is show you exactly how I brought in that lid and placed it on that. File, import, and then go to my folder that I'm working out of, member files, Dremel box, and then the top. And from file, just blah blah blah, embedding the file into my SVG. Alright, so now I've got the image in here, and in order to actually work with it here, I'm going to zoom out, because the image file is so much larger than our SVG's resolution, and you can see there it's absolutely dwarfing it. So let's just get it down to a more manageable size and zoom back in, and then all I do is drag my corners to overlap a little bit generously. Nope, that's not what I want to do. It'll try to snap on you if you're not careful. So let me drag that right. No, don't do that. Aha. Cheat you that way. And I'm just wanting to overlap all of those notched corners from our box editor. You bring that to there. So you do that basic process with all 5 sides. But I don't want jagged edges on the bottom here, and so I'll show you how I remove those. I got a little bit ahead of myself there. Before you place these onto those boxes to actually texture them, you do want to take that bottom edge off. So let me step backwards here and we will go through that process. Let's go ahead and exit out, close without saving. So, case plans, we'll just do it this way. Inkscape. When you bring it in, it's assuming that you're going to do all 6 sides, and you want all 6 sides to interlock. So, first things first, you can delete the bottom because I'm not going to use that. Then I'm going to move that down just so that we have a little bit of space between them. That will make them laser a little bit better. You can drag these around just a little bit, give some space. Okay. Now, for the purpose of lasering them, we need to select all of these and then go up here to Path, Object to Path. So now these have a path around them. So if we go to my Path Editor tool, you can see now I've got all these little handles to be able to manipulate that edge. So I'm just going to select, drag a box over and select all of the bottom ones there, and literally hit the delete key and do that. And you can see this is a curve. I've got these handles to manipulate the particular curve of it. I don't want that to be a curve, I want it to be flat. So all I got to do is select that line, and it highlights my 2 endpoints as well. And then up here on the toolbar, there's a button to make a line rather than a curve. So now that is a line. So I've got rid of the jagged edge on the bottom of that one. So now go to the next piece and do the same thing. Delete those, select that line, make it a line segment. And then, can I zoom? Yep, okay. Select this one, grab all of those, delete them, select a line, make it a segment. Again, okay. Delete those, make that a line. Alright, so now we've tweaked our box cutout. Go back to the selection tool, make it a bit easier on us. Okay, so what's going to happen is these jagged edges are going to interlock with these, and these are going to interlock with these. And the beauty of the Maker Case tool is that it does them in such a way that they are regular and invertible. So I don't have to worry about whether or not this is going to one point or another. This will work on either side, no problem. Makes life easy. Alright, so now I've got this going. And go back to import. And we'll go ahead and do the top again. And embed it. And then just drag it into position. And I just did that for all 5 sides. Okay. Close without saving. Go back to that. Open with Inkscape. I'm jumping around. You don't have to. I'm just saying, ta-da, I'm pulling the cake out of the oven here. So I've placed all 5 sides over this. Now, here's the beauty, is this is a .svg file. So when I go to laser it, I need not an SVG file, but I need a flat bitmapped image. So with Inkscape, I just export PNG. And I leave my DPI and everything else just as it is. Leave all that, specify where it goes to, and I export it. And this is going to put it in my somewhere. Yeah, I put it on the server. So now when I go to use Ray's raster program, I'll just import that image and be able to go. So, next step is to go over to the laser cutting machine where we have the rest of our CNC tool chain. And part of the noise you're hearing is the laser itself actually going. And so you can actually see I've already done the rastering of all of this, and it is underway and looking great. I hope the noise isn't too bad. Kind of have to have the compressor going. Alright, so right here is, I've saved a local copy of that entire folder. So I've got my image files and my working files. One of the first things we're going to do is open up the main SVG here, if it'll let me. It's trying to be stupid again. Alright, so here's Inkscape. I'm just going to open up. Blah, blah, blah. Open. Probably not the best idea to be doing this while it's actually running, since it's a real-time operation, but oh well. So here's that file we got going, and like I said, I've already exported that to a .png. So now I'm going to use Ray's fancy raster program. And find my input file, which is going to be under my documents and Dremel box. So that is that PNG. Then it needs to know where to put that file when I'm done with it. So I'm just going to copy and paste. And I'm going to call this raster.png. So same location, same file, just raster. And I've already got one. I don't want to overwrite it, so I'm just going to put a 2 since we're going there. Now we're going to use the advanced mode. Ah, cool. So the rastering is actually done. Okay, back to the process. The reason I wanted to open this file back up over here is I actually want to look at my document properties and look at my width of my image. Go to inches. So my width is actually 20.53 inches. That is my whole document space here. Now back over to Fancy Raster program. In the Advanced Options tab, I'm going to keep my aspect ratio and I'm going to lock in my raster width from -1 to 20.53. I'm going to leave my DPI, my speed, and everything else just as it is. Now the Go button does things. It shows us a preview, or it should, of what that will look like. And not only did it do the preview, it actually did spit out that file. So if I come over back to my file manager, if it weren't being annoying, it would show that they have that file now. Now, for the next part, we need to make the file to go and do that cutout. So if we come into Sheet Cam, no, I'm not going to bother with that. Now I go to File, Import the drawing, go to my recently used, and I'm going to use my Dremel 245 SVG. Put it down in the corner, yada yada. Here we are. So it has those outlines that we drew in earlier. So in order to create the cutout, I have to go into the Operations tab here, and this is doing a jet cutting operation. The layer to use is listed right here. It's color 0. You want to make sure that that's actually what you're wanting to do. And we're going to cut it at not 140 power. We're going to cut it at 100 power. And we can actually get away with doing 25 inches per minute. So we're going to do that. And we're not going to have any lead in, any lead out. I don't really care about the direction. We're all good. And so now, it's kind of hard to see here, but you can see it's got little direction arrows indicating the path, etc., etc. And now we go to Run Post Processor and tell it where we want to put it. So we're going to put it in Dremel box, and we're going to call it cutout.ngc. And again, I've already done it, so I'm going to make this a .2, save, and it's there. So I'm going to go into the Linux CNC program here, and this, I had previously loaded the raster, which was running just now, got completed. So now I'm going to, without changing any of my homing, I'm going to my cutout.ngc. Open that up. And the cutout should be fully underneath all of the previous path. And so if I wipe away the path, that shows where our cutout will be. And now to cut it out, I'm going to set my speed back to 100. Turn on the mister, and go. And it is now cutting out through the already rastered area. Okay, so it just got done running the cutout program. And this is where I wanted to show you why I went ahead and moved each of the pieces apart from each other instead of having them touching like was in the original file. Gantry out of the way. And so you can see these two parts in particular have already lifted, and that's because this wood was slightly bowed. And if I had not left that piece down the middle to hold this whole sheet together, it might have moved these pieces completely out of position. So I wanted to have this here to hold on to the structure of everything. And they should all just kind of pop out at this point. I'm not too worried about knocking them out if they need to be a little bit more knocked out. So yeah, you can see how the rastered bit, some of it gets cut off. And I will put this together and show you how it all looks before gluing it together. I really like how it looks almost like leather. Kind of cool. Alright, so now I've got this lightly glued together and rubber banded to hold it in place. These are size 64 from Staples, but care needs to be taken not to put too much additional strain to cause the edges to bow in. They already do from being wood. And that actually is something to consider when you place a large piece of 1/8 inch material into the laser. Is they generally tend to have a bow to them, and you'll want to consider that bow direction to be advantageous to holding your seams snug to themselves. So just take a few moments when you're putting it in there to think about it. But it does look kind of like a leather craft thing, or really old. And here's the original. So I'm going to, once this initial glue is set, come back through and put a bead of glue on the interior edges. Careful not to get too much, because the next phase, which isn't terribly exotic, is going to be taking the inside dimensions here and making another box just like this using the MakerBox website to create the box to replicate this cardboard one. And then we'll have exactly the same thing, only a little bit more durable, but with essentially the same aesthetic. But you can see it's got that kind of a checkered pattern just as a result of the seam choice. The option otherwise would have been to have it flush, but then it doesn't align itself as well. This actually is a really nice and handy edge. But there you go, duplicating in grayscale. But there you are. Oh, I got these flipped around. Oh well, not the end of the world.